History remembers countless rulers, conquerors, and revolutionaries, yet only a select few managed to stand out across centuries as figures of exceptional determination and brilliance. Among them is Zenobia, the legendary queen of Palmyra. Her reign occurred during one of the most volatile chapters of the Roman Empire, the crisis of the 3rd century, a period marked by political chaos, rapid turnover of emperors, economic instability, and external threats pressing in on every frontier. Amid this backdrop of uncertainty, Zenobia ascended not as a mere caretaker queen, but as a visionary leader who dared to challenge Rome's supremacy. Her ambition was not simply to maintain her territory, she sought to forge an autonomous Eastern empire, thriving, cultured, and powerful. Zenobia's leadership, courage, and defiance were extraordinary in any era, but even more striking in a time when women rarely held commanding political power. Palmyra, the desert jewel. Zenobia was born around 240 AD in Palmyra, a wealthy and flourishing oasis city situated in the desert of modern Syria. Palmyra was a center of international trade positioned along the Silk Road, where caravans transporting silk, spices, precious stones, perfumes, and exotic goods traveled between the Roman Empire, Persia, India, and beyond. This strategic location brought immense prosperity and created a community unlike any other in the ancient world. Palmyra was not simply a trade post, it was a cultural crossroads where Greek, Roman, Arab, Persian, and Semitic influences blended, producing a vibrant society rich in architecture, language, and art. Growing up in this cosmopolitan environment, Zenobia was exposed to a world of intellectual exchange and cultural sophistication. Ancient accounts describe her as both highly intelligent and remarkably educated, a rarity for women of her time. She studied classical literature, philosophy, history, and rhetoric. She reportedly spoke multiple languages, possibly including Greek, Aramaic, and Egyptian. Zenobia was not merely book-learned, she was also physically strong, a skilled rider and hunter with a commanding presence that earned her admiration among nobles and soldiers alike. From an early age, she showed signs of being more than just a noblewoman. She possessed the drive and confidence of a future ruler. Marriage and the path to the throne. Zenobia's political journey began when she married Septimius Odenathus, the king of Palmyra. Odenathus played a critical role in protecting Rome's eastern provinces during a time when the Sasanian Persian Empire posed a major threat. His victories against the Persians rescued Rome from losing vital territory, and because of this loyalty, Palmyra gained significant autonomy within the empire. Under Odenathus, Palmyra prospered, becoming not only wealthy but increasingly influential in regional politics. However, fate intervened abruptly in 267 AD when Odenathus and his eldest son were assassinated. The motives remain unclear. Some claim internal political rivalry, others suggest personal betrayal or competing factions within Palmyra. With Odenathus gone, a leadership vacuum emerged, and Palmyra's stability was at risk. Zenobia stepped forward as a regent for her young son Vabalithus, but her authority quickly grew beyond that role. She seized control decisively, removing rivals, solidifying loyalty among the military, and establishing herself as the true ruler of Palmyra. Zenobia did not simply inherit power. She earned it through intellect, diplomacy, and sheer strength of will, the formation of a new Eastern power. Under Zenobia's rule, Palmyra was transformed from a prosperous city-state into the nucleus of an ambitious empire. Rome, weakened by internal conflict and external invasions, was no longer able to enforce strong control over distant provinces. Zenobia recognized this vulnerability and acted with both boldness and strategic precision. She expanded Palmyra's territory by sending her trusted general Zabdas on military campaigns across the Near East. Her forces successfully took control of Syria and Palestine, but her most remarkable achievement was the conquest of Egypt, a province that was essential to Rome's grain supply. The capture of Egypt was a direct blow to Rome's power and demonstrated Zenobia's readiness to reshape political boundaries. The territories she controlled were not simply annexed, they were integrated into a cohesive and thriving realm. Trade routes remained secure, local cultures flourished under her tolerance, and Palmyra's influence grew steadily. Zenobia ruled with a sophistication that balanced strength and diplomacy. She patronized scholars, welcomed philosophers, and supported cultural diversity throughout her empire. In Palmyra, she commissioned new monuments and expanded public works, beautifying the city and elevating its status to rival that of major Roman and Persian capitals. Her reign represented a flourishing of culture, commerce, and ambition. The open challenge to Rome. For a period, Zenobia maintained a delicate pretense of loyalty to Rome. But as her power solidified and her empire expanded, she made a decisive move that ended all ambiguity. She proclaimed her son Vaballathus as emperor and assumed the title of Augusta, or Empress, for herself. She issued coinage bearing their imperial portraits and titles, a bold declaration of sovereignty. This was no symbolic gesture, it was a direct challenge to Rome's authority. Zenobia was asserting that the eastern provinces no longer belonged to Rome. She envisioned a new empire, one centered in Palmyra, guided by her leadership and shaped by Eastern identity and cultural pride. For a brief but brilliant moment, that vision seemed achievable. Rome responds. The campaign of Aurelian. When news of Zenobia's declaration reached Rome, the Emperor Aurelian viewed it as a threat that could not be ignored. Aurelian, known for his uncompromising discipline and military prowess, was determined to restore Rome to its former unity and dominance. In 272 AD, he marched east with his legions to reclaim control. The conflict that followed was fierce. Zenobia's forces fought with courage and loyalty, but the Roman army was experienced, well-organized, and relentless. The Palmyrene army suffered defeats at Antioch and Emesa, weakening Zenobia's ability to defend her capital. Aurelian then laid siege to Palmyra itself. Even in desperation, Zenobia refused to surrender easily. She attempted to escape to Persia to secure reinforcements, but she was captured near the Euphrates River before she could reach safety. Her capture signaled the collapse of Palmyra's empire. The city surrendered, and although it briefly attempted another uprising, Rome's retaliation was severe. Palmyra's golden age ended, and it would never again regain its former stature. The mystery of her final years. Zenobia's fate after her capture remains one of the most compelling mysteries in antiquity. Some accounts state that she was brought to Rome and displayed in Aurelian's triumph, adorned with heavy golden chains as a symbol of his victory. Other writings suggest that Aurelian was impressed by her dignity and intelligence and spared her life, granting her a villa where she lived comfortably among Roman nobility. Some legends claim she married a Roman senator and continued to live as an influential figure in high society. Yet other stories insist she died before reaching Rome, either from illness or by choosing to end her own life. Because no definitive records remain, her final chapter is left to interpretation, enhancing her legend rather than diminishing it. Legacy of a defiant queen. Zenobia's reign may have lasted only a few years, but its impact has endured for nearly 2,000. She proved that power is not determined by gender or tradition, but by vision, leadership, and courage. She challenged one of the greatest empires in history and came remarkably close to establishing her own. Her city flourished under her guidance, her armies followed her with loyalty, and her name remains a symbol of bold defiance, cultural pride, and imperial ambition. Zenobia's story reminds us that history is shaped not only by those who conquer and endure, but also by those who dare to challenge what others believe cannot be changed. She stands as an enduring figure of strength, a queen who rose from the desert to defy Rome and left behind a legacy that continues to inspire. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the life of Queen Zenobia, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep exploring history, keep learning, and keep discovering the legends who refuse to be forgotten.